what are the reasons growth doesn't interest you right now?
Many. Number one, I would say, dude, there's so much. I'll go off in no particular order of importance. Like they're just all aspects. Number one is, it takes a lot of time and effort in order to grow, in order to make these posts deliberately designed to grow. And quite frankly, I don't have the desire to put that time and effort in. It's like I would rather spend that time hanging out on the floor with my baby, or I don't know, studying jujitsu or doing Q&As or whatever it is, which I know don't have as much growth potential, but this is what I would rather be doing, right? It's like where my preference. So there's that aspect.
Which is so cool, because when the like more is what's valued by so many in society, like you intentionally letting your foot off the gas in one aspect of life and focusing on other things is impressive, and I think probably the right decision.
Yeah. I mean, definitely for me and where I'm at right now, 27-year-old me would be like, loser. But like, there's that. There's also, and you and I talk about this in the mentorship all the time, but if you have 500 followers, that's a lot of eyeballs on you. That's a lot of eyeballs. It's a lot of attention. And you got 500 people following you. I mean, if you stood in a room with 500 people, you'd probably shit your pants if you had to talk in front of all of them. But like, people are like, oh, I just don't have enough followers. I don't have enough. No, it's like you don't have enough of a good relationship with your followers. And so for me, I have plenty of followers. There's no lack of them at this point. There's like, if I was to talk to everyone individually, it would take me a really long time, like years and years and years and years and years. So at this point, the issue isn't growth. Now I just like, how about I just develop a closer relationship with as many of the people who follow me as I possibly can? So one of the greatest things that I've been finding really over the last few months has been, it's very fun for me to see DMs from people and look back through the history of DMs that they've sent me. Because as I've been more just posting more depth related content, I'll get DMs from people who DM me now, and I'll look back, and the last DM they sent me was like 2018. And they didn't send me anything between 2018 and 2022, which tells me that like maybe they dropped off or they stopped paying attention or they stopped seeing my stuff, but now they're back. And maybe now they're getting more invested in me again. It's like there are like lost relationships out there that I can work to rebuild and work to connect with, and as opposed to finding someone new. And this is just basic, business 101. What's more expensive, taking on a new client or working with an existing client? It's like 10 times more expensive to take on a new one. And using that in terms of social media, it's probably way more difficult to take a brand new follower and really get them to trust you versus take someone who already trusted you earlier. They start seeing your content again. It's like they just fall right back into it. So it's I would rather reach out and connect with the people who maybe just haven't seen my content very much lately, or develop a more in-depth relationship with them. So, and then there's also the side of the idea of fame just is so repelling to me.
We're so dialed in. I was literally going to go right there and speculate on another reason.
Yeah. It's just the idea of having more eyeballs on me is just, I don't want it at all, especially now that I have, a kid and I would love to have more kids and spend more time with my family. You know who I look at? I look at someone like John Berardi. John Berardi is just a huge inspiration of mine in terms of he sold precision nutrition. And I don't want to sell Syatt Fitness, but like this guy built one of the most amazing fitness companies in the world. And he made a post recently about, he's like, yeah, I sold it. And now I spend my days are based around homeschooling my kids. Like that's what I spend my time on. I was like, man,
that's
like,
awesome.
That's awesome. Like this guy has built one of the biggest companies in the fitness industry. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm done. Now I'm just a family man. It's like, that's really, I don't think it's good for me to have like so much focus on growth when my family is right there. It's like, how about focus on the family instead of these other people that are on my phone?
So it's about that aspect of it is about time allocation, spending more time with your wife and daughter versus that time needed to grow. Is there also a component of like hyper fame and what that lifestyle would look like, or like what privacy would look like, what like safety risks would look like for your family?
Yeah, 100%.
And then the other element, and what's very interesting, a couple weeks ago I was back in New York City. I was coaching Gary for a few workouts in person, and I was walking down like, I don't know, somewhere near Penn Station, on the west side of Manhattan. And this guy's like, you know, I got a white t-shirt on, I got my headphones in, I'm walking this way, this guy's walking this way, and he's like, Mike. And I'm like, do I know? Like, do I recognize? Because I get recognized like twice a year at this point. And I was like, what's up, man? Like, I wasn't sure if I had met him before or not. He's like, Cooper, big fan of your YouTube. Like, it's been 4 years. Like, you got to get posting again. Where have you been? Like, really, really good, like, funny dude. He's like, yeah, I've been following for a long time. And it was a very, like, it didn't do anything for me.
Interesting.
It felt like a friend. Like it literally felt like I was bumping into a friend on the street and like talking to him. That's awesome. Like, appreciate you saying hi. Like, whereas in 2015, 2016, if I got recognized, and I'm embarrassed to say this, I'd be like, I'm the man. Like, I'm awesome. Like, people know me. Literally, those were like thoughts in my head. And I don't know if it's just age and like growing up and learning, or realizing that like, I don't know what necessarily has changed, but my desire, and it hasn't been there for a long time, but like that was a real moment where I was like, oh, I really like being recognized, having any degree of micro fame isn't interesting to me at all. And it was almost relieving that that isn't, you know, that part is dormant in me.
Yeah. Yeah. So that interaction did not in any way, shape, or form light any spark for you to get back to making content.
The opposite.
Yeah.
Literally No. Let me try and articulate this. What that interaction did was it didn't touch my ego even 1%. Not even 1% did I like feel good that I got, literally not even 1%. And I know for many reasons that I don't want fame, that being one of them. The fact that didn't do anything for me actually made me more likely and more excited about making more content. Because I don't want that. I don't want that to like feed that creature. But if that creature isn't, I remember someone asking Jordan Peterson about like his rise to fame and how that affects him personally and personal relationships. And he's like, something along the lines of like, you know, I'm in my 50s. I'm like, you know, maybe if I was a younger man, maybe if I was like in a different lifestyle, maybe if I was like, it would affect me. But it's like the accolades and the eyeballs and the praise and everyone going up to him and saying, you changed my life. Like, thank you so much. Like, he was saying that doesn't hit his ego. He thinks because he's just older and I don't know, something about it being a different time in his life.
That is very interesting. So that now that the potential of that creature essentially not living there anymore, like, it makes you more excited to make content because you'd be less likely to do it for the validation from others, and more because you just want to make content around what you want to make. More
because subject I'm interested in, desire to help. Yeah. I mean, financial, like if I wanted to grow on the back end or change anything on the back end, like those are all real motivations, but like feed the ego, no. Which it might be a double-edged sword, because feeding the ego is a very powerful motivator for creating. But
Yeah, and it's also like, is it possible to create publicly without letting ego get involved at all? I think there's more of like a continuum, right? And you know, there's a continuum of it, but I don't think it's possible to not have it involved at all, especially when people say things like, even when people say something just super nice, like, your content has changed my life, which is one of the most amazing things someone can say. I think it's basically impossible to not let that affect your ego, even on a small level, right? Like there's no way that like that has zero impact on you.
We'll see.
And by you, I'm not saying you, I'm saying in general, everybody, like the proverbial you.
I would have flat out agreed with you 2 months ago. This interaction made me, who knows? I think there definitely is, especially in relation to like, growth rates and ability to, the feedback loops of various comments, engagements, etc. But
yeah,
time will tell. But that was a positive data point. So fame is not something that you're interested in, which is another reason for having less of a focus on growth right now and more of a desire on depth with current audience and doing things you're interested in, spending time with your family.
Yeah, exactly. It's also why I'm back on YouTube every week and doing more long form videos. It was funny. Someone said the other day, I was doing a Q&A and I did like, tell me something you disagree with me on. And someone jokingly wrote, they're like, I disagree with the length of your YouTube videos, basically saying like your YouTube videos are way too long. And I actually answered, I was like, that's by design, because I don't want to build a huge audience that only expects or just expects short form content. I would rather have a smaller audience of people who watch an hour YouTube video than have a bigger audience of people who struggle to watch a 60-second reel. Mm-hmm. And I think that mindset, being less about the numbers and views and being more about the depth within the people who really do value what you're saying, is super powerful. Not just from like a mental and emotional health standpoint, but also from a business perspective. This is like why we talk about articles and why our main form of content is a podcast. It's because it's not about the vanity metrics that really make the biggest difference on your business. It's really about like, how many people do you have that are willing to spend a long time listening to you and hearing what you have to say. It's like, you don't need that many people to do that. And that's you through doing that, I think you just create a small, closer knit community that is much more in tune with your beliefs and thoughts and values, which will, I don't think it's much harder to get famous that way.
But good if that's not the goal.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of, I don't know, Rogan or whatever it is. Like, you could get famous doing that, but it's not very likely. Mm-hmm. It's more like a smaller, closer knit community of people that are just, they love you for you. Mm-hmm. And that's, I would rather have that than fame.
Yeah. I actually think by making your videos longer, and you can think of YouTube videos as trying to acquire new audience, basically picking a flashy thumbnail, title, like something that's really has potential to perform well, run the metrics, look at hashtags, like really try and make that video get new people to see your channel. Or, and these definitely overlap, or you make a video where the sole intent is to educate your current audience, entertain your current audience, like help your current audience. And those are different at times. And one is focused more on growth. The other is focused more on depth.
That's exactly right.